What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So NIO did have some pretty good momentum on Friday. So a lot of people want to know, is that going to carry forward into this upcoming week? And so coming from the States, you do have a couple big data points that could really influence the broader market through algorithmic trading. And of course, NIO does, like, pretty much good, about 60% of their daily volume does come from algorithmic trading. So it's kind of important to pay attention to American data on a side note, but you do have GDP coming out Thursday and then PCE on Friday, and a couple Fed speakers throughout the week, but there is a hell of a lot of fear that started to increase due to inflation. A lot of different kind of signals all really stemming together to point out that inflation is truly increasing. Coming from China, though, there's absolutely no data points coming out this week to really influence the broader market. And there isn't any planned meetings for stimulus, for any updates like that. No European kind of tariff related actual meetings. So it is going to be a technical driven week in NIO's case, which in reality is somewhat of a good thing. But as well, registration numbers, I think that will be a big deal. I know some people don't like the fact that NIO does move based on just weekly registration numbers. And if you kind of say it out loud, it does make no sense whatsoever. But beside the point, that obviously is coming out on Tuesday, could really move NIO. But when it comes down to it, I was preparing for this video trying to look at like the data points just to see if there's any growing trends. And there's one thing I do want to bring up, completely unrelated to this upcoming week though, but the last couple Fridays all closed at $4.44. I don't know if anyone has caught this, and like I said, this has no real influence on like what is coming this week. I'm just kind of blown away the fact that February the 21st closed at 444, February the 17th 444, February the 10th 444. So something seems up if you ask me. So a lot of the past several weeks there's been many signals that NIO was going to break out, and so far it's been somewhat lackluster, but in reality, like, that is very weird to me. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of bring this up as a fun FYI. But shorts. So shorts right now going into this upcoming week, 11.32% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 151.21 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average 2.51. And on Friday, for instance, shorts did return 21,000 shares, despite the bloodbath in the broader market. So in general, that's kind of a good thing. There's a lot of big data points all signaling that NIO really wants to move higher. And it did actually close on Friday above a very key point. So again, I'm going to go over that. But of the options, so you see the options that was done on Friday, there's consensus for it to be roughly around that $5 range for this upcoming week. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub roughly around that $4 range. So kind of have level ground for that. And for the longest time, there's been a lot of anticipation for it to be above $5. So that's not anything new, but this is all the open interest for this upcoming week. So you do have, with it closing at 440, whatever it was, 444. So you have 25,000 at that $4 strike price, 1,000 at that 350, and then 4,000 at that 3. So meaning market makers will have to cover those in the money options. So you might see a little bit of a bump come Monday, and that's market makers simply covering those shares. I kind of looked at the dark pool. There was a lot of transactions throughout the day, some of which could be obviously market makers covering those prematurely, but nothing that would kind of match the overall amount. So again, going back over here, you have roughly around, I don't know, about just shy of around 3 million shares that does need to be covered. And market makers don't have shares of volatile stocks such as NIO readily available. If necessary, they just go to the open market to buy it. So again, come Monday, you could see a little bit of a spike higher. and that would be market makers covering it. So again, something to keep in mind. But with it at 444, it did close above this pivot point right here, so trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 441 will be a key support that you really want to watch for that to hold. And then flip side, 476 and then 497 is going to be the next strong targets. So this has been something that I've brought up time and time again, is these points, because of course I think for the last little bit it's been trading within this range, showing that it does really want to move higher. It just needs that nice little push. And basically there was a couple of things as well that did come out recently that I want to go over. But on Friday though, it did close above that 50-day moving average. So this yellow line right here, $4.37. And historically speaking, that does mean like a 30% swing at least. In NIO's case, maybe even 40. So you might see a little bit more upside. Some key points to really watch for going into this upcoming week is that 100 and 200-day moving averages. So that's 476 and 483. Stochastic RSI, because of the recent kind of momentum that it's had, it is rather overbought. So the first sign of weakness, you could see some extra volatility, and we already do know NIO is like a spring. I think someone even in the comments called it like a spring. Honestly, it just goes up and down like crazy. Sometimes no reason, no rhyme or anything like that. So it's kind of an interesting stock. There was one thing that did come out though from Analyst though, and that was right here. So new rating yesterday, sell rating still went from 350 to 390 for the price target. That was Goldman Sachs, Tina, who has a 48% success rating. So not all that great, but still $3.90 is kind of a good improvement from 350 at least, so shows a little bit of optimism. So hopefully new ratings do come out, and they do, I believe, have their earnings coming out fairly soon. They haven't given the official date based on unusual whales. They do have it estimated for March the 4th, and then Seeking Alpha has it tentatively for the 28th. So it would be this Friday, and in the past, they like to do it and just announce it within like a 3-4 day notice. So potentially that could be coming out this week as well. These are the current estimates. So negative 33 cents for the earnings per share, 2.78 billion for revenue, and then over the last 90 days, 0 positive and 1 negative revisions to the earnings per share. So I think all in all, there is a lot of good opportunity for NIO to really break out, and a lot of the signals and data points I just brought up all point that NIO is going to move higher. But I think it'll come down to data points and just institutions willing to buy it. On a side note, on the secondary market, you have seen an abnormal amount of buying. So for those of you that kind of follow my daily NIO videos, on occasion, there's like one transaction, maybe sometimes like 3 or 4. That's when some abnormal action is happening. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So this one definitely is night and day difference compared to the norm. So this shows that big money is definitely paying attention to NIO, and even on my watch list right over here, it's one of the only 3 that was green on Friday. And that's kind of what the market wants, right? Even if there's a massive bloodbath occurring, if a stock is showing a certain level of momentum, big money is going to gravitate towards it, and they want kind of winners. They don't want to buy the dip on many different stocks, but rather kind of gravitate towards those types of stocks that shows that it wants to move higher, if that kind of makes sense. So I think that is exactly what did happen on Friday. So let me know your viewpoint. Throw your price prediction in the comments below, where you feel NIO is going to land by the end of the week. And when do you think that the earnings is going to be? Do you think it's going to be this week, next week? What's your general thoughts? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon to get buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.